Hello and welcome back to the Craft Mansion. I'm David, and in this week's video I'll be making 3 wands from the Fantastic Beasts movies. Now usually I do wands from the Harry Potter franchise, but these are going to be made on a comment request. There should be a comment right here. I think it was a comment. If there's no comment, then I look stupid doing this. If you would like to see me make more wands, make sure to leave a comment down below with your request. But before you do, check out this playlist over here because I do have more videos. There's ones back here and I have more videos on them. And to see more ones in the future, please consider subscribing and ring the notification bell down below. They're just underneath this video. Now, for this video, I'll be starting with the main trio from Fantastic Beasts, and that is Newt Scamander, Queenie Goldstein, and is that her name? Tina Goldstein? I think it's a longer name. Let's check. I keep checking stuff while I'm recording. I should check this stuff before. Point pen. Poor pen, Tina Goldstein. I got that wrong. Now to start off, as usual, I printed 3 wands to the full size. These are about 14 inches each. There isn't that much knowledge about the length of these ones because, well, they don't have books about Fantastic Beasts. So I just took the length of the Noble Collection ones, and that's 14 inches. I printed these images, and now it's time to work off from these. As usual, I'll be starting off with a dowel. I'm still not sure about how I'm going to go about doing these because, well, they're ones I never know what I'm going to do. But I think that I'll be using clay on the dowel and maybe some fiberboard. I'm not sure. We'll see. For Newt's wand, I started with an 8mm thick dowel and measured the length I needed. And then obviously I cut it because that's what you do. Then I taped down the image I had printed and using a marker transferred its shape onto 2 opposing sides of the dowel. I shaved off the excess. Yes, I know I say that phrase a lot. A friend kept nagging me about it, but that's what I do. I shaved off the excess to end up with a flattened wand, but with dry thickness from one side. I retaped the image onto the flat side and traced it. After removing the excess, I ended up with a squarish wand, so I shaved off and rounded the corners. Shaving does create a clear distinction with each cut, so I smoothed them all with a Dremel tool, and then with a sanding block. To make the handle of Newt's wand, I'll be using this air drying clay, and I'll also be using it for Queenie's wand, so now it's time for a messy time lapse. Starting off with a sausage of clay. That sausage. It's so strange. I flattened it and cut a point at one end. I put it around the dowel, watering the clay to smoothen it. To make the end wider and the proper tube, I decided to add a separate piece of clay and smoothen it to the rest. The handle isn't perfectly round, but there's a line going along one side. Once the clay hardened, I fixed some of the details and softly sanded it. To prevent cracking, I sealed the clay with Mod Podge. The dowel is a dark shade of mustard, or maybe light brown. And then the handle has 2 colors. This side is light blue, which blends into dark brown. Then, I dry brushed some of the light brown onto the handle to bring out the details and make it look more like wood. The hollow part at the end is silver from the inside, so I used some ink from this marker. I've actually been using it a lot lately. Just like paint, it is easily applied with a brush. To make it even shinier, I applied the coat of varnish and finished the first wand. Okay, so now for the other 2 wands, I'll be using a 10mm dowel because one of them is 10mm thick and the other one is 9. Then I can just shave it down. And this is 9mm. Okay, I don't have 10mm, so I'll just use this and pretend it's 10mm. With Tina's wand, it didn't really matter that much on how long I cut the dowel. Depends on how much of it will need to be in the handle for a stronger grip. I shaved off the excess wood, but with this one, I lightly sanded it to keep the natural wood look. I also carved out lines along the whole dowel to make it look rougher. Some were short, some were long, just to make them look natural. So now for the handle of this wand, I'll be using this, well, it's not a dowel. I know it is actually. It used to be part of some furniture. Anyways, I need this much of it, so I'll just cut it off, and then I can carve the handle from this piece. I used a mixture of sewing and carving to get the different thicknesses. I could have used a broomstick, but this material is much less dense, and so easier to work with. I also tried my hand in working with a chisel and hammer. It was quite rough, but I think I did great, if I were to say so myself. I mean, this is so satisfying in fast motion. The pommel is thicker, so I worked down from it and thinned the rest of the handle. For greater detail, I used my usual knife and removed the excess wood. The end here has an hourglass shape. Just like the dowels, I sanded the whole thing. This was a bit tricky because I had to drill a hole exactly in the middle. I also had to thin out the dowel since the hole couldn't be wide enough. The wood did crack a little, but luckily this one is a bit rough, so some cracks easily blended in. To stain the wood, I mixed some brown shoe polish with water. This diluted solution works great when a light color is needed, though I did need to give the dowel about 3 coats of it. The handle is darker, so I just used more shoe polish. I sealed the dowel with Mod Podge, but since the handle is shinier, I used varnish, and the second wand was finished as well. I repeated the steps for Queenie's wand, and then sanded it really well on both my Dremel and sanding block, since this one should look as smooth as possible. Now, with hindsight, I should have extended the dowel to be inside the snail, but till now, everything is still in one piece, so no worries in the end. I rubbed the ball in clay to attach it to the dowel, but I let it harden a bit before continuing the work. Then, I marked the gold piece at this end and thinned the clay above it to make a clear distinction in level. I made the ring at the end and again thinned the clay above it. Then, I continued hollowing the snail opening and made the twirling pattern that's on both sides. Since the clay had hardened a little, I'm just carving it while being really careful so as not to cut off too much as I couldn't add soft clay. There's the design of the golden part and the texture of the snail. For the latter, I used a round embossing tool. Just like I did for Newt's wand, I cleaned some imperfections when the clay had dried. Then, I sealed the clay with Mod Podge. The dowel is all black, which contrasts really well with the shiny gold. The snail was a bit tricky. It should have pearly colors, but I couldn't really make that, so I mixed white with some of the silver ink and a hint of metallic blue. I also mixed white with some gold and applied it on top. Both these colors should blend at the center. I applied uneven paint, letting some of the white clay showing to give off a translucent effect. Then, I added another coat of Mod Podge. Finally, I painted the engravings with black, and the third wand was also finished. Now, while these may not be my favorite ones, they sure have my favorite scheme of colors. Starting off with Newt's wand, there's this light brown, it's really unique in wands, and then there's this dark brown. Usually with other wands, they're more dark brown and black, but these ones are quite light. And this one has this blue, which is especially amazing. It kind of reminds me of those ducks with the green neck. You know, there's brown and brown, but there's in the middle, there's that rich green. Sort of reminds me of that. And of course, there's this pearly core, which is also part of nature. Then with Tina's wand, it's simple, it's brown, but then there's this rich red. There's this rich red color over here, and the varnish just completes it. And then with Queenie's wand, I think it really represents who Queenie is. There's this naive part, well, it's very nice, it's round, there's bright colors, this snail represents nature, and then there's this gold, but then there's the dark side, because, well, spoilers alert, she does join Grindelwald's army. So I think these colors really work well because they represent who Queenie is. And I also accidentally have Grindelwald's wand, because he does own the Elder Wand in the prequel series. It's back here as well, because I did do it for Dumbledore. If you liked this video and would love to see more ones from Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below with the ones you would like to see me make. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing right here. I have many more videos on my channel, two of which are these. And until next time, these are the ones of Newt, Tina, and Queenie. I'm David, and this is the Craft Mansion. These should all be 14 inches. Well, does size matter?